You're listening to the Hypnotic Empath, and I'm your host, Robyn Holm. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, a body talk practitioner, and an empowered empath with over 2 decades of experience helping sensitive souls like you reconnect with your power. This podcast is a space for deep healing, subconscious transformation, and real-world support. We'll do some guided hypnotherapy sessions, we'll talk to some incredible guests, and we'll help you learn to release what isn't yours, to protect your energy, and to finally feel safe being you. It's time to move from surviving to thriving. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to the Hypnotic Empath. I am your host, Robyn Holm. I am here with somebody really special. This is Lenora Edwards, and I met her at a conference that we were both at, Hypnothoughts Live in Vegas. And I went to one of her workshops, and I just was so blown away by her and her message. And I could not wait to have her on the podcast because I know that what she talks about today is going to help so many people. I felt the shift within me when I was listening to her. She has written a beautiful book that I highly recommend that I was able to share with my Hypnosis for Weight Loss group. She is a wealth of knowledge, and I'm going to read her official bio before we get further in. So Lenora Edwards is a TEDx speaker. She is certified in HMR as a practitioner, and she's the creator of the Be Free method. It's a breakthrough approach that helps clients and practitioners end cycles of emotional and stress eating by shifting identity, not just behavior. Once caught in her own patterns of people-pleasing and self-sabotage, Lenora now teaches others how to regulate their nervous system, rewrite survival-based patterns, and finally feel safe to thrive in their bodies, in their businesses, and in their lives. Lenora, thank you for being here.
I am so excited to spend time with you, Robyn. Thank you so much for having me.
It was my pleasure. I was so excited. So I know that your work centers around helping people rewrite the internal stories that run in their lives. So what first got you curious about that inner voice?
I love talking about the inner voice. My inner voice was so atrocious, and I knew that it was really harsh. I just didn't know what to do about it. And what I love about YouTube and what I affectionately refer to as YouTube University, and the fact that I could have earned my PhD in personal growth and development thanks to YouTube University, is they share so many things and they'll say it goes back to your thoughts, it goes back to your beliefs. But there was never really any concrete, systematic way to change your thoughts. You can absolutely use affirmations, but if you've done affirmations and you say, I'm healthy, wealthy, and happy, and you hear this little voice in the background going, no, you're not. What do you do about that? And you feel the discord, and especially as empaths and especially as people who are highly sensitive, we can feel that discord, and how we actually get relief from that is so absolutely life-changing, because quite literally what happens is we have a thought and it triggers a response, or it activates an emotional response in the body. When you are having literal pangs in your body where it's like, oh, that breaks my heart. Like, oh, what do I do about it? Especially if you looked into anything in human design, you start to notice, okay, something else is wrong. I don't know how to fix this. And you really don't know how to explain it. So I have made it my mission to figure out ways how I'm talking to myself, how I'm shifting it. How can I systematically explain this in the easiest way possible for somebody else to pick it up and go, okay, I can follow this. And when it comes to your inner voice, that's the key. You have one voice, but you have to listen to the others and figure out where those echoes, where those voices are coming from. Who are they? Who do they belong to? Because that goes to the root of where you need to do the work.
How do you figure that out?
For example, if you, and keep in mind, I pay attention, very close attention to my thoughts. If you're going to do something, let's say I want to work out, and this was something that was really huge for me. And I started to notice I would say I'm going to work out, and I would procrastinate the bananas out of it. And I just wasn't actually taking action on it. And when I started to look at, okay, well, what does working out mean to me? And then I started to have all this volume. Well, it must mean I'm fat. It must mean I'm overweight. It must mean that I'm lazy. It must mean this. It must mean that. So I had all these additional thoughts to this one task. It wasn't working out to take care of my body and to feel good. It was because X, Y, and Z. And I find that a lot of people have that if they were raised in the 80s and the 90s, because what were we taught? hmm And for as much as I was a Jane Fonda girl and as much as I loved the firm, that's what it meant. It meant I had to be on a diet. It meant to me that I was overweight. It meant X, Y, and Z. And when you start to notice that, notice the first thing that you want to do if you're looking into this yourself, notice your own patterns, notice your own behaviors. For example, if you want to do something and you're not taking action, look at it. And the best way to look at it is to grab a pen and paper. What does
Mhm.
this mean to me? And just start writing. You have everything you need. You have all your solutions to your problems. When you can literally write it down and see it out in front of you, you can start to look at it. And that's a step taking your awareness. That's a step taking and writing it down. And we'll look at it and be like, oh, I did nothing. No, that was huge. Because if it's outside your awareness, it's outside your control. When you can say, okay, I recognize that I'm procrastinating right now. What's going on? And have that dialogue with yourself, your entire world is going to start shifting
Mm.
fast.
Is this the shift protocol then?
When it comes to shift protocol, so in my book, of which thank you so much for mentioning it, and here's a copy in case anybody's wanting to be curious about the cover. In the shift
Yes.
protocol, oh, thank you. I love that. That specifically, and I can even I can share it with you in the show notes if people wanted to see it. This one is specifically about changing your voice on a thought. So let's say the thought is, um, I'm not good enough to get this promotion. So take a step outside the body. I'm not good enough to get this promotion. Okay, so when we're shifting our thoughts, this thought came up. I'm not good enough to, and a lot of the time we'll say, I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy. I really encourage people to finish the sentence because it's very open ended. If you start to notice, like, oh, I am good enough, I am worthy because I'm here breathing, now we've taken it to an extreme. But that's why I say, let's finish the sentence. What are we thinking we're not worthy of? What are we thinking we're not deserving of? In this case, I'm not good enough. Okay, for what? To get this promotion. So what you want to do is you want to shift the thought. So it starts with S. Spot the thought. Oh, I'm not good enough to get that promotion. Okay, so we raise our awareness. H is for hear. Whose voice is saying that? And this is really important because as we think our thoughts, we also have echoes of other people's thoughts and beliefs that they've given us. So, what that means is over time, we've had echoes of other people saying things around us, and it just pops into our brain. And quick side note, for as much as people think that they're mindful, we get pulled into an echo, pulled into a memory anywhere between 15 to 50 times an hour. So that means it's just running in the background and we're not really paying attention to it because it's so normal to us. So I'm not good enough to get this promotion. We wanted to spot the thought. We did that. H, we hear it. Whose voice is it? Whose voice is saying I'm not good enough? Is it mine? Is it a loved one who might have told me I wasn't good enough for something? So this is where you want to start to investigate it. Okay, is this thought helpful? Usually not in this case, if we're examining our thoughts. Okay, no problem. Then you want to frame it. F. Who can come in that might help you look at this thought in a little bit of a different way? It might be an archangel. It might be your best friend. It might be your teddy bear. It doesn't matter. Who else can you bring in that's literally going to investigate this thought with you and look at it and go, is this entirely true? Probably not. And T, you want to start to trade it in for a new thought. And the reason I don't say transform it, because transform can sometimes feel like a really big leap. We just want to trade it for a slightly better thought. I'm not feeling like I'm good enough right now to get this promotion because of da 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 da. Okay, cool. We move the dial a little bit. Now we can start to look at it again. Okay, where else do I need to move this? Let's see. I'm not good enough to get this promotion right now because I don't have the skill sets. Okay, if I had the skill sets, would I feel like I'm good enough? Well, yeah. Okay. So then you're good enough and you're working toward getting those skill sets to get that promotion. Huge difference. And people will say, well, I'm lying to myself. I'm just making things up. And really, you're not. You are strategically, intentionally moving your thoughts and your emotions in the direction that feels better. Well, then I just feel better. And that's everything because you feel better. We are vibrating. We're constantly sending out energy. We're constantly receiving energy. You want to be feeling better. And then there are plenty of people that say, well, that's just putting a rainbow, that's just rose colored glasses. No, you were taught that it was rose colored glasses by people who knew no better than you, and it's okay. But here's what's actually happening. Here's the science of it. Here's the actual validity of how important it is to pay attention to the voices in your head, pay attention to the thoughts in your head, and notice where you quite literally are vibrating.
Well, and here's the other thing that you and I both know, because I'm a hypnotherapist, you're a hypnotist. The thing that we know about the subconscious mind is that holds 95% of our entire day is in the
Absolutely.
subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind loves imagery and metaphor and imagination.
Hmm.
So if you can imagine yourself feeling better and getting the promotion for your subconscious mind, there is no difference.
Hmm.
It is so. And that's how we begin to reprogram our subconscious mind is with
Very much so.
imagination and putting ourselves there. So when we say people are like, well, I feel like I was just making it up. Good. That's good. Make it up. Make up exactly what it is that you want and then feel as if it is so. And that's how we begin to reprogram the subconscious. And then that is going to be your reality.
Definitely. And so even in the shift protocol, when you're strategically moving your thoughts, and just as you said with those pictures and with those metaphors, what I like to imagine it as is running the bridge. You are running or running the edge of the cliff, whatever you want to call it, whatever metaphor. You're on the edge, and what's happening is you are effectively dialoguing with your subconscious. That's what you're doing. It's just that nobody told you that's what you're doing. There it is. That's what you're doing.
Wow.
It's your imagination is so powerful. There's so many other things going on, and you want to be aware of it. When you were little and you were having this game and you were playing with your Barbies or you were playing with this great thing, you knew that you were pretending to on some level, but you were so absorbed in it that you didn't care. And when you got finished playing with Barbies, you felt great. You felt awesome. You had a great day. It's because you were allowing yourself to go back and forth on that bridge easily, effortlessly, and automatically. When we start to say, oh, I'm just imagining it, my question is, especially when I'm asking my questions to my clients, is who told you that? Who told you that you were imagining it? And adding to that, who taught you that that was not good? Or who taught you that you were making it up? Because at one point you didn't know that thought. That wasn't yours. It was given to you.
Mhm.
And that's where a lot of people start to go, oh, for example, I used to think that I was stupid. And this was a mantra that was just in my head. And I was stuck in multiple loops. And what does that look like? That looks like, okay, I can't do this because I'm stupid, or I'm bad with money because I'm stupid. I can't go out and talk to people because I'm stupid. So we had multiple different things going on, all connecting back to the core. When I started to look back at this word stupid, I had charged it with so much meaning because that's what was going on in those moments of memory. People were quite literally telling me that I was stupid. They were saying this on repeat, or they would say, um, you don't have to be so stupid, Lenora, or why are you so stupid? And they were using this word repeatedly to me. So when I started to look at this word, I had to dismantle all these beliefs that were attached to it and start recognizing, oh, I was taught that. I was literally told that. And I used to think, one time it came to me just recently, it was as if somebody had put it on a silver platter and slid it across the table to me and they said, eat. And I didn't know any better. And that was an image that came up when it came tied to this word stupid. And I started to realize, oh, this was given to me. Oh, I don't have to keep this. Huge, huge difference.
Mm. It makes me think a lot about, because as you know, a lot of our listeners are empaths. You have shared with me that you do identify as an empath. Am I
I do
right?
identify as an empath.
Okay. So you literally had somebody telling you when you were at your most highly suggestible under the age of 7 is when we're
Mhm.
already in a state of hypnosis. We're already downloading the information from the environment as
100%.
truth. So
Mhm.
there's that, there's the subtleties that as an empath that you're picking up on, but you
Mhm.
literally had people reinforcing the belief that you were stupid
Mhm.
with their words. It was
Yeah.
literal, it was overt. So of course it would go deeply in. And
Mhm.
I think about empaths, how empaths are very highly susceptible to other people's emotions and opinions and feelings because they can pick them up. And
Mhm.
when we're little kids and we're not taught that those are not ours, we feel responsible to fix them. Think about as an empathic child who had this overt thing said over you, in addition to being empathic, that would have gone in really deep.
Very, very.
Mhm.
And then it
So when
even
did you
carried
start?
over to 6th grade. They labeled me as learning disabled because I needed extra time on tests. So another thing to reinforce this belief that I was stupid. So,
Mhm.
mm,
And then did you use the shift protocol to start to reprogram that? Or how did you find your healing when it came? Because obviously you are not stupid. Like, you have
thank you.
many degrees, you have so much education, you're a TEDx speaker, you are anything but
Thank
stupid.
you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate
So how
that.
did you shift that?
There were multiple things. And even one of them was really looking at the word stupid. Who charged that word? How did I charge that word? And it wasn't something that just flipped overnight. It was one that I really had worked at for quite a while. And the shift protocol came when I was noticing I had worked with my coach for quite a while, and I've had multiple coaches. I think at one point I had 4, and they all specialized in something else. So I am a huge supporter of coaches and practitioners of all sorts. And just a quick side note for anyone possibly considering working with a coach or a practitioner, go with someone who resonates with you. If somebody says, "Oh, this is a great person," and you pop on the consultation and you don't get that feeling, it's okay. Look for people that lift your spirit, that lift your soul, and that truly resonate with you. It's a lot like dating. And it's okay to say, "Hey, this coach took me as far as they could. I want to go to this practitioner. I want to work with this therapist or this person or this person." It's a smorgasbord. Enjoy. Find what works for you. So there's a little bit of a loop there.
I love that.
Um, for the shift protocol, I had noticed that I was getting really good at catching my thoughts. And I wanted a strategic way to explain it to people. And that's how it was born because I was doing it and I thought, I need to tell other people about this. This has to be something that I teach people because we want strategies. We like to use them when they're effective. And there's so many different ones, and this one, I felt this really resonated with me because I was walking myself through it and I could explain it as what I affectionately like to refer to as Barney style. If it's going to be simple, you're going to use it. And that's key. You want it to be functional. You want to give people tools. And as a hypnotherapist, as a somebody who helps people, you know your brain is firing on so many different levels to make it functional, to make it helpful, not to make it complex. I don't want it to be complex. If it's complex, guess who's not using it? You. And I want you to use it. I want you to benefit from it because it's only going to help you. Yeah.
And so, do people need to write it down in order to get the benefit? Because I'm thinking of a couple of my clients who do not like to write, for example. Could you talk through it? Could
Totally.
you talk it out? So, how would somebody use this if they don't want to write?
If you don't want to write, not a problem. And the reason I love the shift protocol is because it's specifically a 5-step process and you have 5 fingers. So you
Yeah.
walk yourself through it, SHIFT. You don't have to write at all. If you want to sit with it when you go to sit down and close your eyes for a few minutes and dialogue with whatever's coming up, allow yourself to be absorbed in the moment. It can take 3 minutes, it could take 5 minutes, it could take 60 seconds. It's up to you. It doesn't have to be this big, long, I need to meditate on this type experience. It's supposed to be functional. The only thing that you want to do is really allow yourself the attention. And when you get that gold nugget of trade it in for a better thought, repeat it to yourself, repeat it out loud, whether you want to use this in your mind and your heart or you want to say it out loud and whisper it. There are plenty of times where I've whispered to myself, and there are plenty of times where I have gone to the bathroom at work and spent about 10 minutes in the bathroom figuring something out because it was bugging me. And I would walk out of the bathroom. Nobody would notice that I was in the bathroom for 10 minutes. And it was a way that I made it functional for myself. And that was the most important. So you can write it, you can speak it, you can just use it in your mind and your heart. It's entirely up to you. As long as you use it, it will be functional for you.
Mhm. And so, how can people figure out when it's their subconscious talking to them? So, if they're trying to get answers consciously, we might not be aware of what's
Hmm.
going on, but our subconscious always has the answer. So, do you have
Definitely.
any tips or tricks for how people can drop down into that space if they only have 5 minutes or 10 minutes in the bathroom?
Definitely. And I actually wrote about this in my book. So when you're dialoguing with the subconscious, it has four key characteristics. It answers first, it answers automatically. You're going to feel like you're making it up, and it's going to be quiet. It's going to be that softer voice. Your subconscious is not yelling at you the way your inner critic yells at you, not your subconscious. It might still be important because you might want to look at that. What is your inner critic yelling about? But those are the key characteristics of your subconscious. It answers first, it answers automatically. You might feel like you're making it up, and it answers quietly. It's that little voice in the back. You've heard it
Mhm.
so often you don't even know it.
And I always say, take a big deep breath, kind of hold it up at the top, and then let it all the way out and just kind of sink down. And then I'll say, subconscious mind. And then I'll ask the question in my
That is
mind, subconscious
beautiful.
mind. Yeah.
It is
And then
beautiful.
exactly what you just taught with the
Yep.
four, that's how I teach clients too, that's how to know if it's your subconscious talking back or not.
Yeah.
Because usually whatever you think of first, then people will be like, oh no, it can't be that. It must be something else. And then their brow gets all scrunched. And I'm like,
Mhm.
you're in your critical mind now.
Yes.
That's your conscious mind.
Yes.
So what you thought of first was the
Yes.
subconscious speaking. So
That's
that's
why I say it's like
beautiful.
running the bridge. You're going back
Mm.
and forth, you just didn't know it. Now you're going back and forth very intentionally, and that's where the gold is. That's when it becomes so much more effective because you're paying attention to those discomfort or those uncomfortable feelings that are coming up that are saying, "Oh, that hurts. Oh, that's shameful. Oh, man, I didn't like that." That's okay. That's where the work is. That we
I say to my clients, pay attention to what triggers you. Like if you have an overreaction to something, write
Mhm.
it down so that we can talk about it or you can look at it because that's your subconscious's way of saying there's something here that I want to heal. There's
Mhm.
something here that's from my childhood or my past or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what you're saying. It's creating that awareness
Yeah. Absolutely.
instead of being so judgy with ourselves for
Mhm.
making a mistake or having feelings in the first place.
Very much so. Very much so. And then if you even look at it, when were we taught that it was bad to have feelings? When was we taught to that you shouldn't cry or you shouldn't yeah, and especially a big one for girls growing up, keep secrets to yourself. That is okay. So now I have a secret. Now I'm stuck in a shame loop and a guilt loop because I'm told not to say something because somebody might accuse me that I'm wrong. And then we start getting into emotional eating too.
Yeah, would you mind sharing a little bit about
Yeah,
your story with emotional eating and how you ended up writing your book in the first place? I love that
absolutely.
story that you share. Mhm.
There are many things that had really connected to emotional eating and the eating disorder that I was going through. And there were so many things that I couldn't figure out what the trigger was. And it wasn't, and I'm a huge supporter of it has nothing to do with willpower. It does have to do with how you trigger yourself, how you activate your own stress response. For example, if you find that you wake up and you're having a great day and you're on your drive to work and you get a text message and something just pops up. You get a text message from somebody whether they're in a good mood or not. And you start all of a sudden having an argument in your head. Now you've activated your stress response and you don't know why you want to suddenly stop at McDonald's because you woke up this morning feeling great. What else is going on? Or You start to leave for work and then you're having a lovely day. And all of a sudden, you need to go get food and you don't know why. But you're having a conversation in your head. And now you're feeling really responsible for all these things. And you don't know what you're going to do about it or how you're going to make ends meet. Again, you're activating your own stress response. And when we start to study the gut and our stomach and the intelligence that is in our stomach, it's giving us emotions and it's giving us feelings that are saying, this is really uncomfortable. I don't like this feeling. And we go, no problem. How do I get rid of the feeling? And we start to eat. And especially when it comes to eating, the reason that this is so important is once I say this, you will not unhear it. And I know Robin already knows this. When we find ourselves eating, especially from a conversation or from a people pleasing pattern or a I have to be perfectionist pattern, what's going on is you're having a conversation most likely in your head and you're having these thoughts that you don't like and they're not okay to say out loud. Somebody somewhere told you they're not okay to speak about. So what do? You keep them inside. As you start to eat and you start to have this imaginary argument, you are swallowing your words. You go right past the voice channel and you are stuffing those words down. And it is heartbreaking because you woke up in a good mood and you don't know what triggered it. Had no idea that I was activating my own stress response and activating my own pattern of coping because of my own thoughts. That's a huge problem because now, as I'm doing my best to stay healthy, but I'm also suddenly finding myself trapped in this awful spiral. How do I get back control? Okay, well, inner critic sure has no problem stepping in, doing her best to get back control. And my inner critic had gotten so bad that I often affectionately refer to her as what she was a drill sergeant in heels. And it wasn't a shout, it was a stadium speaker style system going off in my head. Now you're constantly in stress. Now your body can't relax. Now you feel terrible for sitting on the couch at 7 o'clock on a Friday night with your husband in a house that you bought for yourself, but somehow you should be ashamed of sitting down and relaxing. What? There's so many things that were wrapped in it. And so if anybody's struggling with it, it is absolutely not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to guilt yourself over. And it's definitely not something I would encourage anybody to white knuckle through because it has nothing to do with willpower. It has a lot to do with your internal environment, your internal dialogue, and how can we get you to get control back.
Which protocol then? I know through your book, there's a couple of them in
There
there,
are.
and it's different than the shift protocol,
Yes.
the SAFE protocol. And this
Hmm.
is the one that I shared with my group. Could you walk us through that?
Yeah, absolutely. What I love about the SAFE protocol is that the intention behind that was you need something instantly to calm yourself down and you want to interrupt the pattern. So when we talk about interrupting the pattern, as I know Robin is quite familiar in this, we're doing a behavior. We're in a loop. Okay, how do we break the loop? How do we get off the hamster cycle? We have to interrupt it and we have to interrupt it in a way that the nervous system starts to register, oh, okay, I don't need to have this moment right now. I can work on this, but it doesn't have to work. It doesn't need to all get resolved right now. When it's a safe protocol, again, it's right there on the hand and it's a 4-step process of I am safe now. And what you're doing, and the reason I like it again with your hand is because you are likely going to reach for food at some point. And if you have your hand in front of you, you can say, okay, let me get control over the situation. And the whole thing about it is you can use any 4 words. You can use any sequence you want. You can do peace, 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 peace. But what you're doing is you're interrupting the pattern and you're giving your brain something to communicate to your nervous system that says, I'm okay. I'm safe. I know I feel like I'm really in this heightened state, but I want to get back control right now. I am safe now, or I am here now. Wherever you want to add the emphasis, whatever you want to do, give yourself 5 minutes to interrupt the pattern and focus on calming your nervous system. That's the most important thing because you're going into, you've now active, your thoughts have activated your fight, freeze, fawn response. And how do we get back control as fast as possible? Some people use breathing. I like this because it gives the brain something to do. I can focus on something and I can draw my attention and draw my focus. And I'm intentionally, strategically calming my nervous system back down. And I'm walking myself back to safety again on the hand. So we're going to walk ourselves back to a better place where we have more clarity. And I encourage people, if you still want it in 5 minutes, it's okay. Again, don't shame yourself, but do something first to interrupt the pattern so that you can calm your nervous system. That's what you need more than anything, even though it feels like the food, but you'll probably hear a voice in the background going, I don't even want this. Why am I even doing this? And this way you can gain control back over your moment.
Because it's the comfort and the stress relief that we're seeking. And so,
Yes.
for those of you that couldn't see us, if you're not watching this on
Uh,
YouTube, if you're just listening, Lenora, what she was just doing is if you take your thumb and finger and you put it together like an OK sign, and then you do your thumb to the next finger and the next finger into the pinky finger. So that's what she was doing. I am safe now, putting her thumb to each of the fingers in turn, along with the words. I am safe now. And I agree, this works great for me because it's physical and I have
mhm.
a physical thing to focus on. So for me, when I'm in that stress response, I was a smoker for a long time
Oh,
and I remember feeling like I don't know how to deal with stress without a cigarette.
mhm,
So when I quit smoking when I was 21, I had to figure out something else to do instead, but I still will get that feeling to this day. It's been so many years since I quit, where if I feel that stress really coming up in my body, I just want something to numb it or take it away.
mhm,
I have found alcohol, like that happy hour drink, by the end of the day. I am an empath, so by the end of the day, I am tired.
mhm.
And I would love to just spend some time alone, really, by the end of the day. But I have little kids at home still. It's supper time, you've got events going on, etc. And I really found myself leaning into like that happy hour drink, and
Mhm.
the way that that drink would bring comfort, it felt like comfort to my nervous system, how it would relax my nervous system, and it would kind of dull the input that I was receiving from the environment.
Yeah,
It would dull that for me. And I use that in that way that I think some people will use food. We're all different. We all have
yeah,
different coping mechanisms or comfort mechanisms. I would really prefer to be able to go for a walk. Like that's what because like you said, Lenora, when you're like able to tune in and you realize, "Ah, I actually don't want the food at all. I just want comfort or
yeah,
safety."
yeah.
So for me, if I could exchange that for a bath or going for a walk, which is what I would have done pre-kids, and
Mhm,
now post-kids, it's harder. It's harder to find things that you can do to bring comfort to yourself. So I love having this physical thing. I
mhm.
am safe now with the fingers.
Yeah,
And then you combine it with that nice deep breath, and it can keep you present. And then you can realize, okay, this is a stressful moment, but I can get through it
mhm,
without these other things.
yeah,
But the habit and our subconscious is so programmed to reach for the thing that would bring us comfort in the past.
mhm.
So we're trying to update the program, aren't we?
Very much so. And in that scenario, so for me, when I would notice that and I started to say, okay, I am safe or whatever the case was in those moments, or if somebody's going through those moments, write down what the activation was, because
Hmm.
that's a really good thing to work on, whether you want to work on it by yourself or you want to work on it with your coach or your practitioner. It's a helpful piece. And you can then start to detect, okay, what was going on at that moment? And a lot of the time, it might be there was stress at work, they were going back and forth, and then she said this, and then I said this, and then all of a sudden, now you don't feel like you're enough. And you reach for food so that you feel like there's something there to fill that spot. And it does often go back to worthiness and enough and feeling our enoughness and feeling like we're deserving. And that's okay. They're core desires that are very, very innate within us and they're very, very appropriate. It's that somewhere, someone along the way taught us that we have to prove our worth and we have to deserve something. For example, I grew up hearing, okay, you were good today. You deserve ice cream. Oh, you were bad today. You don't, I can't give you ice cream. Well, now that means I'm not deserving and I'm not worthy. And somehow that's now connected to food when really they should have never been connected at all. But people say these things because that's what they were taught. That's what they're echoing, and they don't know any different. We didn't have this kind of information. We didn't have this level of awareness in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, and that's okay. We have that level of awareness now. So now that we know differently, we can do differently, and that's really important.
It's one of the neat things that we do in hypnotherapy when we take somebody into what's called a regression, when we're
Mhm.
asking the subconscious to show us the root or the very first time that a belief system occurred. And so worthiness is a huge one. I'm not worthy. If we ask the subconscious for your root is going to be different than my root, but the
Mhm.
subconscious will often then take us back to that time. And it's about now being able to give that little kid the things that they did need at that time so that they know that they are worthy, so that we can change the way that the brain is programmed, so we can kind of work retroactively. So when you said when we know better we do better, it's
Mhm.
kind of cool because we can go back and give that 7-year-old or that 3-year-old or that 4-year-old what they needed because we know better now. We can give better then.
Definitely.
And the subconscious doesn't know the difference between yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So if we fix it then, we fix it now.
Very much so. And a big one that I often see the connection on, and this is something that's very interesting, is money.
Oh
So
yeah, talk
when
to
you
me.
when you can recognize, and this was such a beautiful way that somebody had shared it with me. Are you a good receiver? So we are constantly expressing and receiving. As in receiving, are you a good receiver? Now, if somebody gives you a compliment and they say, your work helped me so much. Thank you so, so much for that. You were such a huge help. And you're like, no, no, that's okay. It's what I do. It's no big deal. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're pushing away and you're taking their gift and you're whether you're pushing it away or you're putting it down on the floor, you're not able to truly receive it. And the reason that this is so important is because can you receive a compliment? Can you receive other things, as in gifts? Even if the universe is communicating to us, or whichever being somebody likes to say, if they're communicating with us, can we receive that? Now, when it comes to money, and this was such a problem for me, even though I did the work, even though, so I was able to happily, easily take money from a salary position that made perfect sense to me. I then started a business and I started a cookie business. And for me to charge the value of those cookies was extraordinarily difficult for me. And at the time, I had made them $2 a cookie when they probably could have gone for $3.75 a cookie. And when people would pay me, if the charge was $17, I would say, no, 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 just 15. I would rob myself of my time, of my value, of my skill, and ultimately of my bank account. So when it comes to money, especially as an entrepreneur, especially as somebody who is working to get their business off the ground, can you receive money for what you do? And if the underlying thought is, well, I feel bad that I'm taking money from them because money makes people happy and I like people to be happy. Also, notice how I'm saying this in this type of voice. That is a younger part that's talking. You're robbing your current self of your value. You're robbing your current self of your skill. You're not charging your worth. And you still have bills to be paid. There's a huge conflict in that. So, if anybody's wanting to be an entrepreneur, wanting to make more money, go to your money beliefs and start paying attention. How do you feel about receiving money? Can you fully receive money for your value, for your worth, for your knowledge, for your time? It is so important. And I'm just going to leave it at that because I can't even stress how important it truly is to be able to receive for the work that you do and recognize that you have value and that you have gifts to share and they do deserve to be paid back by the universe in forms that are helpful and effective in your life.
Wonderful. And if somebody finds that they're exactly in this camp, they're like, I can't receive money. Actually, yes, thank you for pointing that out. How do they go about reworking that for themselves?
You can absolutely. So, the Be Free protocol in my book. So, yes, it is titled Food, Feelings, and Freedom. That being said, the Be Free method is an identity shift method. So, there's a huge difference between behavioral things that we give people, such as let's say somebody wanted to lose weight and you give them a nutrition plan. That's a behavioral shift. An identity shift is totally different. Identity shift reflects on how we think, how we feel, and then how we act. And the reason that this is so important is because this is vibrating through your entire nervous system. This is a visceral change. So, for example, I identify as a wife. That is something that is very easily for me to identify as. This is an identity that I carry. Another identity that I carry is I'm a practitioner. I'm a performance and pattern specialist. I help people get those shifts. I feel that in my body. If I said, I am an astronaut, nope. And I can feel that. That's a lie. That's not an identity that I carry. When we want to shift those identities. So for example, if somebody wants to shift their thoughts and beliefs around money, you can use the Be Free method. You want to start examining, how does a person who can receive money doing what I do, how might they think? How might they act? How might they feel in their body? And the reason that I plug the word might in, and it pops up many a times in my book, is because how do they think can be very tunnel vision. How might they think opens people's mind. And that's a really good thing. We want thought flexibility. We want a variety of thoughts coming in. How might I shift this? How might I solve this? How might I go about this? And it allows you to be more creative and more open minded to the other things that will allow you to shift your identity. When it comes to your identity, you want to move through the world as this version that can receive money. How does this version that you see, which is different than the version that I see, how is this version of me? How do I identify with money? How might I act when I receive money? How good does it feel to receive money? And as an empath, if you're noticing, ooh, ooh, like that's how I characterized it in my nervous system, because I couldn't fully explain it to my coach. And I would say, it's not pain. It's just feeling like it's like a twinge, like
Yep.
almost like a poke. And those were,
Resistance.
there you go, resistance. You can call it that. That's how it was showing up for me. And that's where you want to follow that messenger. When we can look at our emotions, when we can look at these like boops or these pieces of resistance as messengers that go, oh, there's a little bit of a misalignment here. Can you please come down here and address this? Great, because I can come address that. I have the tools, I have the knowledge, I have the energy and the time available to me. And in the other circumstance, for example, let's say you were working through something. You now know who you can call. You now know how to work your own tools. You now know how you best operate. And if you're thinking, I need to work on this, but first I need a nap, that's a good thing. You now have gotten so much trust with your nervous system that you get to navigate through this. For people who are starting, these are the places that you want to start. Know who you can call and trust. When you work with a coach, when you work with a practitioner, know that they're having your highest good involved. And I used to think, here was a big money limiting belief. I used to think, well, of course they want to work with me. They just want my money. No, there are plenty of coaches who will happily tell you no because you're not an ideal person for them. If you're going to offer all this resistance and decline their help, that's exhausting for a practitioner, for a coach. So that person likely will not say that. If that's how you're tying money to work with them, that's something that you want to investigate. When you start to work with a coach, allow them and allow yourself to be coachable. Allow them to help you. That's a huge piece. There's a difference between calling up a coach or a professional or a hypnotherapist and saying, I need your help with a topic versus calling up a best friend. Huge difference, huge skill set and difference. And it's important to recognize there is a difference. Even though both of them care a lot about you, one of them is going to really help you get out of that problem very, very quickly.
Hmm. And I think that comes back to what you said at the beginning about resonance, is knowing who the right person is for you
Yeah.
to work with. And for me, it'll be like, "Ooh, that, that person had something for me." Like when Lenora, I was lucky enough to take your course at HypnoThoughts Live. I was like, I was like, "This is my girl. Look, like I know she's got something for me. I know we're in alignment."
I
I
love it.
felt the resonance
I love
and
that.
immediately made me trust you. It immediately made me sit up and pay attention because I knew everything coming out of your mouth was going to be important for me. That was a resonance. So
Yeah.
people can feel that. But then if you've ever had the experience of like, "Oh, everyone talks so amazing about this one person, but they give me the icks,"
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with you. That's
Nope.
just your body saying that there's not a resonance.
Not your
Keep looking.
person.
Yeah, it's not your person.
Yep.
Because sometimes we're like, "Oh, we've tried everything," but maybe you haven't quite found the right helper yet.
Yeah.
I also think there's a ton that you can do at home alone, which is why I created the podcast, because I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
give people tools at home, which is why I recommend Lenora's book so much, because it's all in here.
Yeah.
But if you find that you're having a hard time working through this, then that's when you could start here if you want to, and
Mm-hmm.
then you could move on to working with a practitioner if that feels right for you.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, people know, like some people are like, "I don't want to do any work at home by myself. I do best when I can commit to myself by going into a practitioner's office."
Mm-hmm.
Great. If you know you, that's perfect.
Yeah.
But some people want to do a lot on their own. So there's both options here
Very much
for
so.
people,
Very.
which
As,
is really nice.
as long as it's
We're
functional for
running.
you, that's what matters most. Did you get the change you
Mhm.
want?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And if not, keep looking.
Yes. Absolutely.
I was curious if there's anything that you commonly see when you're working with your emotional eating clients, if there's like a common belief system that people tend to bump up against or that you see over and over again.
There are, especially in the empaths, the people pleasing pattern.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that's
baby.
really, really key because we naturally are designed to feel certain things. And when we don't feel good, we're looking, how can we feel good the fastest? Oh, I'm responsible for that person's happiness. And if they're happy, I'll be happy. And that's a good thing. That's a big, big thing to take on. And it's something to really pay attention to because we can easily get stuck in this caretaker, in this motherly, affectionate role, even though I'm not a mother biologically, like I don't have children, but I can be motherly and I can be very affectionate and I can be very nurturing. And it's something that's a beautiful gift that I have, but it's also something that I have to be aware of and not fall into. I'm responsible for everybody and everybody has to be happy around me and I exhaust myself. No, I don't do that anymore. But that is a
Mhm.
huge one that I see among empaths and highly sensitive people.
Oh, I completely agree. And I will link in the show notes here to a podcast episode that I released last week that puts in that bubble of protection so
Nice.
that you have this, the subconscious loves imagery and metaphor. So when we give the subconscious this idea of this bubble of protection where other people's thoughts and feelings and opinions will bounce off,
Yeah.
it really helps you to discern from within the bubble what is your responsibility and what isn't. Because I find the same thing. It's that feeling of, I notice your feelings and emotions, therefore I'm responsible to fix them.
Hmm.
And that's the piece that we need to shift, is the responsibility piece. Because we love to help, right? We love
We
to
do
help.
love to
Empaths love
help.
to help. Yeah, it's wonderful. But it's, can you help
Hmm.
and not take it into your own body as your responsibility?
Very much so.
Uh-huh.
Very, very
Do you
much so.
have a way that you like to teach people to protect themselves from that responsibility? What's your go-to tool for your empaths?
Oh gosh, very specifically holographic memory resolution. And that was a technique that helped me drastically because when you had said it beautifully before we even got on the call, the mind body approach, holographic memory resolution teaches a lot about the mind body connection and breathing color through your nervous system. And the reason that it's color, it can also be sound, it can also be texture, but that's how your nervous system communicates. So if you ever say, oh gosh, I got that sharp pain in my neck, you just described the location and the sharpness in your neck. Or if you get in a fight and you say something like, oh, I got that sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach, you know where your memories are held when it comes to this very specific topic. They're in your stomach and you're getting that sinking feeling. And that's your nervous system explaining to you in metaphors. This is how I filed it. This is the location. This is what it feels like. And when possible, can you please address it?
And could people then address it through then doing some of these exercises like the Be Free method and the shift protocol?
Absolutely. And this is something,
Okay.
so with the Be Free method, I teach that as a certification for hypnotherapists and practitioners and
Oh,
wellness coaches of all sorts. And I also teach it to clients. And I have a 6-week course that people can sign up for immediately. And I offer two complimentary coaching sessions within that package. And what that will explain is how holographic memory resolution helps, but also how these techniques help, how they can completely change how you relate to food, how you relate to your body. They can completely alter your life in the most positive ways. And I am very, very passionate about that one.
That's deeply empowering.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I
Because then it
want
takes you
people to
from,
feel better. That is the most important thing.
and so to be aware that you don't always have to go to somebody else. Like you are your best advocate and you are your most wise source of information. So that's so wonderful to be able to have that kind of empowerment to train that superpower.
Yeah, very, very much
Yeah.
so. I love it.
Okay. So Lenora, I'm going to link all of that in the show notes.
Thank
And
you.
I'm just
So,
wondering if you can tell us what's next for you and where people can find you.
what is next for me is in October, I'm teaching my certification course in person, which is extraordinarily exciting at the Mid America Hypnosis Conference. I'm teaching the pre conference, and then I'm also doing the keynote in Chicago. So, yes. Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you. I'll be on stage with Dr. Richard Bandler, Chase Hughes, and Rich Guzzi. So,
Wonderful.
really exciting. Yes.
Yes.
So,
Ah,
I'll be
that's
sure to
great.
send you the info and we can link it in the podcast.
Perfect. And then where can people find you?
The best way to reach me is at my website, driventobebetter.com.
I love it. Beautiful. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you so much,
here.
Robin.
A
It
really,
was
really helpful
spectacular.
conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for all the things that you
Thank you.
share and you teach. It's just a joy to be with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Take care. Bye now. Thank you for joining me today on the Hypnotic Empath. If this episode resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd follow the show, leave a 5-star review, or share with somebody who needs this kind of support. You can find more resources, hypnotherapy audios, and ways to work with me at robynholm.com. And don't forget, your sensitivity is not a weakness, it's a gift. Stay rooted in your power, and I'll see you next time.